You're probably curious about where F1 drivers live. Many of them have homes in Monaco, and I'll give you the details on that shortly. First, let's talk about Lewis Hamilton. Does he live in Monaco? Yes, at least for part of the year. Given the extensive travel involved in F1, he isn't there all the time. He owns a multi-million-dollar property in Monaco and has other residences worldwide. So, why do they choose Monaco? One major reason is the low taxes. Monaco imposes no personal income tax, which is a huge benefit if you're earning $30 million a year like some F1 drivers. In contrast, countries like England, France, or other Western nations could take about 40% or more of your income in taxes. As for Monaco itself, it's incredibly small, just 2 square kilometers in size, with the shortest coastline in the world at 3.8 kilometers. The width of the country ranges from a mere 350 meters to 1.7 kilometers. Interestingly, if you own a home in Monaco, you're not allowed to rent it out on Airbnb, a policy set by the local government. So, whenever I visit Monaco for the race, I stay in nearby Beausoleil in France, which is less than a kilometer away but outside Monaco's borders. The current F1 World Drivers' Champion, Max Verstappen, resides in Monaco and owns an apartment there valued at over 13 million euros. Despite the high price, it's important to note that real estate in Monaco doesn't offer much space for the money. For instance, a modest studio apartment spanning only 35 square meters can cost around 2 million euros. If you have more to spend, you might consider a larger option, like a 3-bedroom, 3-bathroom apartment costing roughly 14 million euros for 190 square meters. This shows that in Monaco, your money might not stretch as far as expected. Charles Leclerc also lives in Monaco, and uniquely among current F1 drivers, he was born and raised there. You'll recognize the homage to his heritage with the red and white of the Monaco flag on his helmet. Another driver who has made Monaco his home is Lando Norris, who moved from Britain a few years ago. The shift from British to Monegasque residency can offer significant financial benefits given the high tax rates in Britain compared to none in Monaco. This tax advantage is a compelling reason for the move. Additionally, living in Monaco means being close to many fellow F1 drivers, making it not only a tax-efficient place, but also a social hub for the racers. In addition to having no income tax, Monaco also does not impose wealth tax, local tax, property tax, or capital gains tax on individuals. This means if you purchase an apartment for 10 million euros and later sell it for 20 million euros, all the profit remains yours, with no portion claimed by the government. Valtteri Bottas, originally from Finland, owns a lake house in his home country, but is also a resident of Monaco, where he spends a significant amount of time each year. Additionally, Bottas often visits Australia, where his girlfriend is from, and he enjoyed spending a considerable amount of time in the southern states of Australia last summer. Relocating to Monaco isn't as straightforward as just deciding to move. It typically requires considerable wealth. To reside there, you must be prepared to deposit at least €500,000 into a bank account, which needs to remain untouched unless you choose to start a business, in which case those funds might be utilized. Monaco is predominantly inhabited by the affluent, with about 33% of its roughly 36,000 residents being millionaires, a number that surprisingly isn't higher. The Monegasque government is highly protective of its high-profile and wealthy residents. This includes strict controls on professional photography to shield them from paparazzi harassment. Monaco also has stringent regulations regarding video recording. Personal experiences near iconic spots like the casino reveal that even casual filming is often interrupted by police intervention, reinforcing the principality's vigilant privacy protections. German racing driver Nico Hülkenberg has made Monaco his home, where he resides with his wife, daughter, and their dog. They have been living in an apartment there for several years. Not too far from them is Australian driver Daniel Ricciardo, who also owns an apartment in Monaco and has been there for many years. Besides his Monaco residence, Ricciardo owns a grand mansion in Los Angeles and a farm in Western Australia. Another driver who lives in Monaco is Alex Albon, making a total of 8 drivers who call the Principality home. Logan Sargent has set up his base in London, England, where he joins another driver, Oscar Piastri. Additionally, Chinese driver Zhou Guanyu also resides in London. Moving on to Sergio Perez, the Mexican driver lives in Guadalajara, but doesn't stay there throughout the year. During the European racing season, he lives in Madrid to be closer to the races and his team's factory. Fernando Alonso chooses to live in Switzerland. which offers significant tax advantages compared to his home country of Spain, especially for someone with a multi-million-dollar income like him. As for Yuki Tsunoda, he does not live in Switzerland but has chosen Italy as his base to stay close to the AlphaTauri factory. When discussing the perks of living in Monaco, one notable benefit is the quick helicopter ride to Nice Airport, which, despite the cost, is a convenient option for those who value time over money. Max Verstappen, for example, frequently uses a helicopter for travel to Nice Airport, and when racing in France, he finds it quicker to fly directly from Monaco to Le Castellet, skipping the fixed-wing aircraft. Monaco itself is noted for its high security, with extensive CCTV coverage adding to its appeal as a safe haven. The Principality maintains its unique status partly because the French government largely overlooks its governance. Monaco is quite unique in the world, existing as a standalone principality completely surrounded by France. If France chose to, they could theoretically disrupt its operations by restricting essential services, although they permit Monaco to function independently. This autonomy is particularly notable in terms of taxation, which is why the Principality is attractive to many. However, French citizens like Pierre Gasly and Esteban Ocon don't benefit from Monaco's 0% tax rate. They are subject to normal French taxes. Consequently, Gasly resides in Milan, where there are no tax advantages for him in Monaco, and Ocon lives in Geneva to take advantage of some tax relief, though not the 0% rate available in Monaco. Other drivers choose Switzerland for its favorable tax conditions. Current driver Lance Stroll and former driver Sebastian Vettel both have Swiss residences. Romain Grosjean also lived in Switzerland in the past, while his trainer at the time, Kim Keedle, lived just across the border in France, commuting to train him. Now, Kim Keedle works with Oscar Piastri, and they both live in London alongside other Australian expatriates. Kevin Magnussen used to live in Dubai because it was convenient for traveling to the races on the calendar and the training conditions were favorable. However, he has since moved back to Denmark, where he now lives with his wife and 2 children. As for the other drivers, George Russell is still based in London, and from what I understand, he likely pays UK taxes, which are quite steep. When Russell moved from Williams to Mercedes, it apparently made it difficult for him to casually go out for coffee due to increased fan attention. Our other driver, Carlos Sainz, resides in Madrid, Spain. I visited Madrid a few years back and absolutely loved it. I rank Madrid as one of my favorite cities, with Miami and Sydney also high on my list. If you ever travel to Monaco, prepare for a spectacle of wealth, especially around the harbor. But if you're going for the Grand Prix, remember that staying in Monaco is prohibitively expensive. Most people choose to stay in neighboring towns and use the train, which is a cost-effective way to travel to and from the track. Despite some challenges, Monaco remains an incredible city to visit, particularly during the Grand Prix. If you liked this video, you clearly have excellent taste, so please consider subscribing and liking the video to support the channel.